Hi there, this is a thought for the day. And this thought for the day comes from a book called The Ecstatic Journey. It's by Sophy Burnham, and it's a wonderful book. It's the story of her mystical experiences that awakened her. So I'm going to be reading from page 69. And she says, at 42, I knew it would be an exciting year. In the course of my life, I have had 3 prayers. When I was 5, I prayed to be beautiful because I could see already that pretty girls had an advantage, had power, and came out victorious in life. Later, in my teens, I prayed to understand, which was a big prayer. To understand what? Everything. To be able to see. And if I could see, then too, that I could be given the talent to communicate it, to permit others to understand as well. Later still, and with increasing longing, I formed a 3rd prayer, simply to serve, because I had, on a couple of occasions, had glimpses, like flashes of lightning, that illuminate the heavens before the black night settles in again. They were glimpses of the divine, of the shining light that pervades everything. They were glimpses of immortality. So now at 42, I prayed with an increased urgency. I wanted some indication of God's grace. I wanted to understand. I wanted to serve, whether as a writer or otherwise. It sounds sentimental, perhaps, maybe overly romantic, but I meant it desperately. You see how sensitive and open and perhaps a little loony I had become. A few months earlier, my mother had died, and I was experiencing all the grief that entails. After her death, I used to get up at 4:30 in the morning, put on my sneakers, and run in the black night, the shadow of death at my shoulder, running from my death. With my mother gone, things changed. I decided to give up freelancing and write the novel that I had waited all my life to begin. Time became unutterably precious to me. I had so little. But I had accepted one last magazine assignment. I didn't want to do it. I talked to my husband about returning it to the editors and moving straight into fiction. He persuaded me to keep my commitment. Oddly, the assignment took me abroad, to Costa Rica and then Peru. It was unusual for a magazine to send me anywhere. I felt lucky to have even modest expenses paid and enough left over to cover a babysitter. But it did not take long before I felt, marveling, that this trip to South America would constitute a spiritual journey for me. Without knowing where it would lead or why, I began to feel the adventure was planned, is the wrong word, guided by the hand of God. And somehow I knew that whatever waited me in Peru would occur at Machu Picchu. It was uncanny the way people coming up to me and telling me urgently, here's how you get to Machu Picchu, or this is the name of the person who will get you to Machu Picchu. I felt I was being moved. Things were falling into place as if all destiny were determined in advance. It was Lent. I had given up meat and I was fasting, praying, and meditating for long periods. In Costa Rica, I met 3 men, one Peruvian, one Scot, and one Englishman, each associated with animal welfare and environmental issues. We spent 3 days talking about God and nature, ethics, the relationship of mankind to this little earth. And in all my life, I had never heard a man, women, yes, but not a man, discuss questions of God. I just drank it in. They say that to talk of God is to talk of love, and that when you talk of love, you are making love. I loved all three men, but with one, the Englishman, a veterinarian, I fell in love. It hit like a clap of thunder, arrows. One morning I was phoning home, missing my husband of 19 years, and that same Friday afternoon, a stranger walked into the room where I was talking to his friends. I looked at him and loved. These three friends all worked in the field of animal protection. They opened my heart, quite literally. As later I would discover, the heart center opened the chakra by which we see. On the Monday following, when I left Costa Rica for Peru, I was drunk with love, overwhelmed by the goodness of these three extraordinary men, and in particular, by that of the Englishman, whom I saw surrounded by an aura of light. I was confused. I was swept off my feet. I flicked the light off his skin and watched it scatter in the air. I was undone as well by the thought that for me, he somehow stood as representative of the divine, so that in loving him, I was somehow loving God, or in loving God, I was loving him. It was all confusing. We said goodbye. I was waiting for my plane in the San Jose airport, which was all plastic and cheap construction. So I sat down, and suddenly I saw ordinary people flaring with light. Tourists, children, soldiers with their guns, Indian women carrying their babies in slings, students and businessmen, all were shining with light. I began to shake. Light poured off their faces, hands, shoulders, wherever they showed bare skin. And I sat in that grungy Central American airport, and tears of humility and gratitude just coursed down my cheeks. I put on my sunglasses to hide my tears. I was trembling at the goodness of people, at the beauty of these luminous beings. Later, I went to a restaurant because the plane was several hours late in taking off and ordered an avocado and tomato salad. But the food was so exquisite, I could not eat. It lay shining on the plate before me, light shining from the living fruit. So as you go through your day, think about what happens when the heart awakens. You fall in love instantly with everything, and you can't help it. Everything is love. And I share this because a stranger, a total stranger, can walk in the room and open the heart. And when it opens, you will shake. It's one of the signs of spiritual awakening, of heart awakening, of expansion of consciousness. So when that happens, you can see and you will feel a depth of love and beauty that you never knew before. So as you go through your day, again, let yourself open. Let yourself see the beauty everywhere around us. And have a wonderful day.